Hello everybody. I think we had a very successful inaugural Chess Boot Camp Club fight night yesterday. Check out the video, it's 3 hours long. But I had a really good chat with Christina, Tigers Without Stripes, who's now knocking on the door of 1500 as well. And aside from commenting on a bunch of games, some with players that we know, ranging from like 500, 400 up to 1900, I think the games were. We got the chance to catch up and share a lot of tips and thoughts about, what makes the difference between 1200 and 1500 kind of play and how we improved and what that journey's like. So definitely check that out. It's 3 hours long, but it's definitely worth sitting through, I would say. Anyway, Caro-Kann Fantasy players. Do you play the fantasy variation? If so, heads up, guys. Right. So I just picked up a game and I thought I'd play a 20-minute for some strange reason. And got assigned a random opponent. Now I'm covering the name and ELO right now. So try and guess, because this would be quite a good fun guess the ELO one. So we have E4, C6, the Caro-Kann, D4, grab the center, and D5. So we're straight into Caro-Kann. Fantasy variation is F3. And like somebody said in the comments the other day, I think the idea why it's called the fantasy variation is because if your opponent plays some of the most natural looking moves, you actually end up with a really nice position as white here. I don't know what the most natural looking moves are. Maybe knight out, I don't know. But I think bishop here, maybe knight here, castle's short. Anyway, so we have takes, the exchange variation of the Caro-Kann Fantasy. So far, so normal, seen this loads of times. Now, E5, had this in the video the other day. Do not take the pawn. Whatever you do, do not take the pawn, right? You take the pawn, that's not even a real problem, right? The real problem is you take that pawn, queen's going to come out here with check, win this pawn, but if the queen comes out here with check, right, the only way to defend is G3, unless you're going to move your king, right? And if G3, queen takes this pawn, and look at the rook, right? Wayward queen stuff, horrible stuff. So you have to play knight F3 here. And now, what we want to do is get this bishop out. And I'll show you why. Okay, bishop comes out and pins, bishop C4. Critical move, this bishop C4. Okay, and we have on the board a common pattern, right? Now, we have bishop pinning a knight. We have an Italian bishop, okay? Burn that in your head. My opponent now captures on here. Big mistake. This is a big mistake. Why? Because Hunty remembered something what Hunty had forgot. The best move in chess. Are you ready? Of course. Is the stunning bishop takes F7 check. Right? I'm unconcerned about the pin on this knight, because if the king takes the bishop, which he does, we have bishop E5, check. Right? The king has now been forced to move, now cannot castle. That's going to make life harder for this rook and this rook. Okay? And I'm hitting this bishop twice. King has to move again. And now I capture with the knight. Now I don't know if that was the right move here, or if queen captures was better, but let's see how the game pans out. So queen now comes out with check. And that gave me a moment. My queen is defending the knight. Okay? But the problem is that if the knight moves, this pawn is also threatened. Unless knight F2. Okay, so knight F2 is absolutely fine. Not only am I blocking the check, I'm also defending the pawn. Happy days. Okay, bishop comes out with check. Bishop D2. Trades. Right? And now, I'm in a pretty decent situation. I've got options of castling either side, actually. And with Freddie gone, then that puts a rook straight on an open file, which is no bad thing. So we have knight out here. It's attacking this pawn, but this pawn is actually defended twice, because if knight takes once, knight from D takes, then if queen takes, this knight's no longer pinned and can capture the queen. So now I castle. Okay, and I'm feeling good. Material is equal, but I've got a safe king, and this guy is that his knees are knocking together, right? He is petrified out there, but my opponent is a decent player, and my opponent now plays knight a6. I put my queen on e2, and I had to think about this. This is like a minute and a half thinking about this one. I wanted to line my queen up with my opponent's king, for sure, right? I'm also lining it up with this knight, and I'm triple defending this pawn. That's basically my thinking, and I'm connecting my rook. So it's kind of, it's one of those moves that isn't stunning, but it's got lots of small things to recommend it. Okay, so now my opponent now comes on the offensive with g5. Now he wants to come through here and bust things up. Now, I now have a thought. I'll show you my next move, is knight f3. Knight f3 hits the queen, hits this pawn, hits this pawn. And beyond that, I have another plan. Now the queen has to move, can't go here or here, right? Can't stay there. So the queen, and can't go there. So the queen has 3 squares, all of which defend this guy here, all right? But this guy is undefended. Now what I figure out here, I can take this pawn, and then can you see more free material for white from here? When the knight is here, I can go on and take this pawn. Why? Because this dude here, right, is overstretched. He's the only defender of the pawn on c6 and the only defender of the knight on a6. And the knight on a6, we remember, is under attack by my queen. Okay, so we have queen here. I take the pawn. This guy's defended twice. I've also got ideas of discovered attack on the queen if I move my knight. He now pushes up h5. So he's decided that the best form of defense is attack, which sometimes it is, and I grab c6. So I'm now 2 pawns up, right? And this is the advantage. Queen now retreats. Now, I can't take the knight. Pawn hasn't taken. Okay, so what would you play here? Have a pause and have a think if you like. I decide just to consolidate. So I retreat my knight to d4, right, where it defends this pawn. And another idea, for example, could have been queen to here, but that is risky. It's a high risk thing. It means this knight is pinned, okay, and then the knight simply gets taken. So nothing gained, you know. Bringing the knight back here defends this pawn twice, and plus I've put my knight in the center of the board. So, you know, I'm not doing anything super clever. I am just playing principled chess moves. Now the knight comes in, and we have a critical position. Absolutely critical. Okay, now, my opponent clearly is threatening queen takes h2 checkmate. And we do not like being checkmated, do we, precious? No, my love, we don't. So I mean, this isn't an option, because queen comes in anyway, right? So options, g3, clearly an idea, right? But then we're also going to be faced with pawn here, stuff like that. Maybe knight here is a thought. So at this point, I decide to eliminate the initial threat, okay? The threat is the knight on here looking at here, so I trade off. Now we have a secondary threat, which is the rook is also now looking at h2. Now, after my next move, my opponent actually resigns the game. But it looks as though, you know, it looks as though he's got ideas. But this is really critical, this point. And it comes down to something that I think is very important, and in the intermediate range, you know, working up the 1,000 to 2,000 kind of thing, I think becomes even more important, and it's the idea of developing an instinct for when it's the right time to defend and when it's the right time to attack. Now, if you look at the imbalances on the board here, yeah, I'm up 2 pawns, right? I've got an extra C pawn, E pawn. Right, this looks good for me going into an ending. However, the biggest imbalance is my king is relatively safe. Okay, he's facing mate in 1, right? However, mate in 1 is inconsequential if you can get checkmated yourself. So I'll show you my next move. Queen b5 check. Right now. And then I thought for nearly a minute on that. So he's in check. Right, yeah, he can block with the queen. Well, not there. He can block with the queen here, and we'll trade queens, probably, right? But I don't even have to. You know, there are many more options as well. I've got a nice central knight. His knight is bad. I've got a rook controlling the f-file. Now, if he doesn't want to trade queens, which you don't want to do when you're 2 points down, okay, what can he do? Now, a king can't go there or there because of the rook. Okay, can't stay there or there because of my queen. And the king also can't go here. Why can't the king go there? Knight e6 check wins the queen. Okay, so he can't go there either. That means the king is going to have to go to this square. Okay, now when the king goes to that square, it's just going to get worse, right? For example, I've got queen takes g5 check. Again, he can't go here, 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 there or there, because of the knight. So, and also he can't go, yeah, he can't go there anyway. He can't go here because of knight here, right? So the king is going to have to now go to here or here, you see? And it's just going to, you know, I can keep checking. I will very likely win a rook. I will very likely, there'll be lots of threats of knight forks and stuff like that. I've also got maybe rook a to d1 with check, and my opponent looks at this and figures out, look, I mean, there's a million ways this could go, but they're all going to end badly for black. So at that point, he simply resigns. And I'm very, very pleased with this game overall. So I know we're in pale mode now because I've made changes. But so key thing, number 1, don't take the free pawn. It's not free. Okay, it's poisoned. You have to play knight f3. Now, and then this position. Remember this one. Italian bishop looking at f7. Right? Pinned knight. Happy days. Okay? Boom. Batter. Boom. And from that point on, this guy's moved and can't castle, makes these rooks bad. These rooks never played a part in the game. I actually get to castle here, so my king is much safer. He makes a poor knight move there. And then it's just simple tactics, really. And I win a pawn, I win another pawn. I retreat, consolidate. He comes in with some attacking ideas, trade and simplify, and game over. Simple as that. 20 moves and it's all done. So let's do a quick review. Now I'll tell you now, my opponent's rating is over 1800 in this one. Very interesting. Okay, so it looks like I've got 3 inaccuracies maybe there. No, 2 mistakes, 1 inaccuracy. Let's see what happens. Okay, book, 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 blunder. Brilliant. Awesome. Knight g4 is the mistake. Okay. Best move is queen takes. Leaves me even further ahead. You see, we've still got the knight in the middle, so I was thinking about that. And then we've got castles here as well. Okay. That's good. Good. Not great. Mistake. Huh. Wow, nearly 2 difference in that. Curious. But hey, so we trade off, and I'm still +4 here. I mean, he shouldn't have traded off. Okay, that's inaccurate. That's best. There's lots of best moves. This is great, yeah. Knight A4, A6 is good. Okay, didn't like that. It wanted me to play E5. Okay. G5 is a mistake. That's excellent. There was an even better move. I guess looking at this undefended pawn, also looking at here, but it's already a winning position. Okay, that excellent, wins a free piece. Even better would be again queen there. Huh. Okay, I like that best move. I'm pleased about that. Sometimes the retreat is the best thing to do. Trade. Queen b5 check is best. Excellent stuff. And it's got to be +16 at this point. So yeah, to take down an 1800 player in that way, very, very satisfying. So yeah, Caro-Kann Fantasy players, this is one to remember. All right. So update your notes. I'm going to update mine. I'll see you soon.